World attention often focuses on the aggressive, loud actors, Iran, North Korea, etc. But sometimes you gotta watch out for the quiet ones. Thank you for joining another All Israel News Update. I'm Hanan Lishinsky, back in Israel, as you can see, with the golden light of the setting sun behind me. And today I'm going to talk about one of these quiet, dangerous actors in world politics, which is even a designated major non-NATO ally of the US, and this is Qatar. Qatar's malicious influence mostly flies under the radar. In public, they act like a big diplomatic power in the region. They always advocate for peace, for negotiations and diplomacy. But under the radar, they are funding radical Islamist groups, most prominently Hamas, of course. They host Hamas in their country. And all around, they are a dangerous actor which very successfully conceals its actions. The sophistication of the Qatari actions can be seen in the fact that on one hand, they're a major non-NATO ally of the US. They host a huge US base in their country, thousands of US soldiers on their ground, while on the other hand, hundreds of meters, kilometers next to those US bases are the Hamas leaders, the main, most famous terrorists of our age, and they're residing in luxury hotels right next to these US bases. And Qatar holds both of these factors inside their country and are trying to use and exploit all of what they can for their means. Among their most successful ways of influence has been using the considerable financial means they have to buy their influence into US academics. According to recent media reports, Qatar is the largest foreign donor for US universities, and over the past 20 years has invested $4.7 billion, or probably even more than that, into universities and colleges in the US, funding specific professors and specific studies that will promulgate their ideology and the ideology that they support. This even goes so far that some of the universities are reportedly trying to hide the true amount of millions of dollars that they receive from Qatar. Just for one example, Yale University is reported to have received over or almost $16 million in 1 year, but only reported several hundred thousands of dollars. Now, these considerable sums either go to professorships, for example, in Islamic studies, Middle East studies, professors who support Qatar broadly, support Muslim Brotherhood affiliated interpretations of history, for example, support so-called moderate Islamists who are trying to purportedly reform Islam from within, but in fact are just another flavor of extremists. Or they go to funding anti-Israel, left radical or anti-Western student organizations. And all of this just serves to influence the next generation of leaders in the US and ultimately throughout the West. Another very effective way that Qatar is influencing public opinion is through the use of its Al Jazeera news channel. This is one of the largest, most viewed news channels across the Middle East, and in its English iterations now also in the West and in other countries as well. On this news channel, Qatar promotes stridently anti-Israel, partly just outright anti-Semitic opinions and people, and is inciting Middle East opinion and world opinion against Israel, and this has only increased and intensified during the current war. Here it's also worth mentioning that, of course, again, Qatar plays the double game. On the one side, the Arabic Al Jazeera shows are way more openly anti-Semitic, anti-Israel, while their English language offers, or their AJ+ channel, for example, are a bit more moderate, even though they're also clearly anti-Israel in most cases. Among those Middle East experts who recognize Qatar as a threat and a danger to the entire region, there's a difference of opinion regarding their motivations. Some experts think that as they are supporting and funding radical Islamists, for example, like the Muslim Brotherhood or Hamas or even the Afghan Taliban, that the Qatari regime and the ruling family are indeed also Islamist. And this is their motivation out of an Islamist conviction. On the other hand, there are also experts like the Israeli expert Ariel Admoni, who I've interviewed in the past, who says that Qatar is more cynical and is only trying to use every kind of leverage that they get in order to increase their own power and advance their own power across the region and project their own power across the region. I'm not sure which one is more dangerous, which one is worse, but it's clear that the election of, or the re-election of President Donald Trump and the nomination of his new cabinet provides the world and the region especially with a chance for a new chapter. Trump's nomination of people like Mike Waltz, who will be the coming national security advisor for the US, signaled the possibility of a new start, a new approach towards Qatar. Waltz, in the past, for example, has advocated punitive measures against Qatar in the case that the hostage negotiations, which are mediated by Qatar, stall or continue to stall. And this would be the right approach. An increase of pressure on Qatar and the end of ignoring the spiritual danger, the very sophisticated danger that Qatar poses here in the region, but also across the West and the entire world. Read more about this issue and the background on Qatar and its power relations here across the region on All Israel News, and follow us on allisrael.com and our social media channels for more updates on the Middle East and especially on Israel.